I'm going to walk you through exactly what a good map sensor does, versus what happens when it goes bad. As you can see, this map sensor is absolutely filthy. The sensing port is completely clogged with carbon deposits and oil residue. There's practically no airflow getting through to the element anymore. This level of contamination will definitely cause false pressure readings and throw off your fuel trim. You can see the thick buildup around the opening and coating the entire sensor body. At this point, the sensor can't accurately detect manifold vacuum changes, which explains any drivability issues you've been experiencing. This is a textbook example of a map sensor that's reached the end of its service life due to contamination. The ECU is getting garbage data, so it can't calculate how much fuel you actually need. Most of the time, it defaults to dumping extra fuel just to be safe, what we call running rich. You'll see black smoke pouring out of your exhaust, especially during acceleration. Your tailpipe might even drip with unburned fuel. Your fuel economy can drop by 20, even 30%. If you're filling up way more often than usual, a bad map sensor could be the culprit. Number 2, idle quality. Now let's talk about how your car idles. With a healthy map sensor, your idle is rock solid. The engine sits there purring at a steady 600 to 900 revolutions per minute, depending on your vehicle. It's smooth, it's consistent, it's predictable. You can set a glass of water on your engine bay and it barely ripples. With a bad map sensor, your idle becomes a roller coaster. The RPMs are hunting, bouncing up and down randomly. 1 second you're at 700 revolutions per minute, the next you're at 1,200, then it drops back down. The engine shakes and vibrates because the fuel mixture is constantly changing. You might even experience stalling, especially when you're sitting at a red light or pulling into a parking spot. Number 3, acceleration and throttle response. Let's hit the gas and talk about acceleration. When your map sensor is working properly, throttle response is immediate and predictable. You press the pedal, the engine responds instantly. Acceleration is smooth and linear across the entire RPM range. Whether you're merging onto the highway or just cruising through town, the power delivery feels natural and confident. But with a failing map sensor, you get hesitation and stumbling, especially during acceleration. You step on the gas and there's this delay. Like the engine doesn't know what you want it to do. Trying to merge onto a highway becomes genuinely dangerous because you can't predict how the engine will respond. Going uphill, the engine bogs down, loses power, and might even backfire through the intake or exhaust. Your car feels gutless because the ECU can't deliver the right fuel mixture for the load you're demanding. Number 4, starting the engine. Starting your engine should be one of the most basic, reliable things your car does. With a good map sensor, starting your engine is effortless. Cold start, warm start, doesn't matter, the engine fires right up. Maybe 1 or 2 seconds of cranking and you're running. The ECU reads the barometric pressure when you first turn the key on, adjusts for temperature and altitude, and delivers the perfect fuel mixture for startup. With a bad map sensor, starting becomes an ordeal. You're sitting there cranking, and the engine just struggles to catch. Sometimes it floods because the ECU is dumping too much fuel based on bad data. Cold mornings are the worst. You might be cranking for 10, 15 seconds before it finally sputters to life. And even when it does start, it might immediately stall or run extremely rough for the first minute or 2. Number 5, check engine light and diagnostic codes. Modern cars are pretty good at telling you when something's wrong. When your map sensor is healthy, your check engine light stays off. Your fuel trims are normal, meaning the ECU isn't having to make major corrections to keep things running right. Everything's within spec, and your diagnostic computer is happy. When it's failing, that check engine light comes on. And if you scan it, you're probably seeing codes in the P0106 to P0109 range. P0106 means the sensor's reading is out of the expected range. P0107 is a low input voltage. P0108 is high input, and P0109 is intermittent. You might also see fuel trim codes because the ECU is desperately trying to compensate for the bad data it's receiving. Number 6, turbocharged and supercharged engines. If you're running forced induction turbo or supercharger, the map sensor becomes even more critical. When it's working correctly, boost builds smoothly and predictably. The sensor monitors boost pressure and tells the ECU exactly what's happening. The computer adjusts fuel delivery to match, so you're getting maximum power without running lean. Boost control is precise. When it fails on a boosted engine, this is where things get dangerous. Your engine might cut boost completely and go into limp mode to protect itself. Or worse, it might run lean under boost, meaning not enough fuel for the amount of air being compressed into the engine. That causes detonation, and it will destroy your engine fast. Pistons crack, ringlets fail, head gaskets blow. We're talking thousands of dollars in damage. On a boosted car, a bad NAP sensor isn't just a performance issue, it's a ticking time bomb. Number 7, spark plug condition. Let's talk about what's happening to your spark plugs. With a healthy MAP sensor, your spark plugs stay clean and function properly. They wear at the normal rate, lasting anywhere from 30,000 to 100,000 miles. Depending on the type, when you pull them out, they should have a light tan or gray color at the electrode. This tells you combustion is happening correctly. With a bad MAP sensor, your plugs get fouled fast. Because the engine is running rich, carbon builds up on the electrodes. They turn black and crusty. You might start getting misfires because the plugs can't fire properly through all that buildup. You'll feel the engine stumbling and losing power. You might need to replace your spark plugs every few thousand miles instead of following the normal maintenance schedule. That's wasting money on parts that shouldn't be failing. Number 8, catalytic converter damage. Here's something people don't think about your catalytic converter. With a properly working MAP sensor, your catalytic converter does its job converting harmful emissions into less harmful gases. It operates at the right temperature and doesn't get overworked. It should last well over 100,000 miles, sometimes the entire life of the vehicle, when your MAP sensor fails and you're running rich. All that unburned fuel makes it into the exhaust system. When it hits the catalytic converter, it ignites and burns inside the converter. This creates extreme heat. We're talking temperatures that can literally melt the internal honeycomb structure. A melted catalytic converter is completely blocked, choking your engine's ability to breathe. And replacing a catalytic converter, that's anywhere from $500 to $2,000 or more, depending on your vehicle. So a $50 MAP sensor problem just became a massive repair bill. Number 9, transmission performance and shift quality. Let's talk about how your MAP sensor affects your transmission, especially if you've got a sport or performance automatic. With a healthy MAP sensor, your transmission control module gets accurate engine load data. The TCM knows exactly how much torque the engine is producing, so it can calculate the perfect shift points. Your shifts are smooth, quick, and happen at exactly the right RPM. In sport mode, the transmission holds gears longer for maximum performance. Everything feels crisp and responsive. With a failing MAP sensor, your transmission gets completely confused. The TCM is receiving false torque information because it calculates engine torque based on the MAP sensor data. So your transmission might shift way too early because it thinks the engine is making more power than it actually is. Or it might hold gears too long, lugging the engine because it thinks there's less load than there really is. You'll feel harsh shifts, delayed shifts, or shifts that happen at completely wrong times. In some cases, the transmission might even go into limp mode to protect itself. Your sport mode becomes useless because the transmission can't properly calculate when to hold gears for performance. The driving experience becomes unpredictable and frustrating, especially if you're trying to drive spiritedly. Number 10, fuel system wear. Here's another hidden cost of a bad MAP sensor damage to your fuel system. When everything's working correctly, your fuel injectors spray a fine mist of fuel that atomizes properly for clean combustion. The fuel system operates at normal pressures and temperatures. Everything lasts as long as it's supposed to. But when you're constantly running rich due to a bad MAP sensor, your fuel injectors are working overtime, spraying way more fuel than they should. This can cause them to wear out faster or get clogged with carbon deposits. Your fuel pump is also working harder to keep up with the increased fuel demand. These components aren't cheap to replace. Fuel injectors can cost $100 to $300 each. And you've got multiple cylinders. A fuel pump replacement can run you $400 to $800, all because of a sensor that costs a fraction of that to replace. Number 11, engine oil contamination. Let's talk about what's happening to your engine oil. With a healthy MAP sensor and proper combustion, your engine oil stays clean longer. It does its job lubricating, cooling, and protecting your engine components. You can follow your normal oil change intervals without worry. When you're running rich from a bad MAP sensor, unburned fuel washes down the cylinder walls and contaminates your engine oil. This dilutes the oil, reducing its lubricating properties. Your oil turns black way faster than normal. In extreme cases, you can actually smell gasoline in your oil. This means your engine isn't getting proper lubrication, which accelerates wear on pistons, rings, bearings, and camshafts. You might need to change your oil twice as often just to keep your engine protected. Over time, this accelerated wear can lead to low compression, oil consumption, and eventually, complete engine failure. Number 12, overall cost impact. Let's add up the real financial impact. With a working MAP sensor, you're spending normal amounts on fuel, normal amounts on maintenance, and your car is reliable. You're not making unexpected trips to the mechanic. Your ownership costs are predictable. With a bad MAP sensor that you ignore, the costs pile up fast. You're wasting 20 to 30% more on fuel every single fill up. You're replacing spark plugs constantly. You might destroy your catalytic converter. Your fuel injectors and fuel pump wear out prematurely. Your engine oil needs changing more frequently. You fail emissions testing. And if you're on a turbocharged engine, you risk catastrophic engine failure. A $50 sensor can easily turn into $5,000 or more in related damage if you don't address it. It's one of those situations where a small problem snowballs into a financial nightmare. So there you have it, 12 different ways a MAP sensor affects your vehicle, comparing when it works versus when it fails. The good news? MAP sensors are relatively cheap and usually easy to replace. If you're experiencing any of these symptoms, test your MAP sensor with a multimeter, clean it with electrical contact cleaner, or just replace it. It's one of the best investments you can make in your vehicle's health. If this video helped you out, smash that like button and subscribe for more diagnostic and repair content. Drop a comment below if you've dealt with a bad MAP sensor. I want to hear your stories. And as always, keep wrenching, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.